Hey guys, just wanted to show another video showcasing some of the stuff I've been working on for the past while. And I think last we saw I was actually working on this, but it wasn't done yet. I actually have it running in release mode now, which is pretty smooth, pretty quick. So right now I'm playing the janitor. He's got a flashlight, of course, and some matches. And we used a pixel shader here, and by we I mean somebody else actually programmed us a nice pixel shader who was on my team. Before we really had any experience messing with pixel shaders. But that doesn't have much to do with me. What has to do with me is the minimap here. I did this part, and from the minimap you can see basically what room you're in and where you can go from those rooms. And I did that through usage of my texture manager here in my map. The map is a pathfinding algorithm that I programmed based off of Dijkstra's algorithm. And let's go look at the constructor here. It can take in any variable size, use some dynamic memory for creating whatever size maps you want, and the actual loop is right here for pathfinding. So not very pretty or great, it's just kind of a brute force Pathfinder, but definitely worked well for what we were going for in our game. Also was in charge of doing the tile manager, and let me get to the top here. What that did was taken about 70,000 lines of XML code in the end, which represented every tile in every room that we had created ahead of time. Read in that XML file line by line, and then created each of those rooms and put them into a vector of rooms. So that's all this right here. I also set up all the spawn points for the player, items, and enemies, and also controlled the solving of puzzles for each of the floors that you go on. So you might have a puzzle that's something like find the code to the safe, go to the safe, get the key, and then the key unlocks the door that takes you to the next floor. That sort of thing. And then we've got this function here, create floor, and this was my big challenge. Basically what it would do is pick a random room that had a player spawn point in it, add that to the vector of rooms we're going to use, pick a random puzzle, and then get all of the rooms that are used in that puzzle, put them in that vector, and then pick any number of random rooms from there, and then connect all of those. So say you start with a room and it just randomly picks to put a room to the left, it finds the door on the left side of that room, makes it where that door links to the room we picked, and then finds the door on the right side of the room we picked to go back to where it just came from. So it'll make sense via the map. It won't just take you to, you might go into the left door and end up at the bottom of, some other room. It all ends up making sense in the end. Ended up with some pretty heinous code for this sort of logic. So I got like set map integer, room sub, doors sub I, room 2, all this crazy, like complete nonsense, just garbage logic. I wouldn't have done it like that if anybody else would ever have to use this code, but I was the only one that was going to ever use it, so I just left it as is and kept running through it all. So yeah, all this code here just to generate a floor full of rooms. I think it was about 200 lines of code, give or take. And then the renderer is of course responsible for rendering each room tile by tile, and here we just basically look at each tile in the room one at a time, make sure it's supposed to be a rendered tile. Non-rendered tiles would be like spawn points. Once it's supposed to be once I know it's supposed to be a rendered tile, I find out if it's on the screen or not and render it. And it's pretty much it. It's pretty much all I was in charge of. Right here we actually just make sure we render all of the doors individually, and make sure that they actually go somewhere. So each of my rooms had a door on the top, bottom, left, and right, and if the room was all the way to the left, the left door wouldn't be rendered. There'd just be a wall there. And of course, if you walked anywhere near where that door would have been, it wouldn't do anything. And then here, actually, I was also in charge of rendering the minimap, of course, but picking up items and solving puzzles. So if you basically had the key and you were in the vicinity of the door that key belonged to, say, it would unlock that door or whatever was supposed to happen. I was in charge of all of those things. That's pretty much it for what I did for this project. Yeah, not a lot to it. Our game came out okay. It was sort of fun, but it was honestly probably the least fun game of the three there. And it was kind of surprising because the demo we had come up with in Unity was probably the most fun demo of the three. It was really cool how we set up the ambiance of the level with the sounds, where we placed the enemies, their behavior, and we just couldn't quite pull through the fun you could have in just a short demo and keep that going for a full-length game. It just didn't quite pan out. So the game wasn't terrible by any means. It just wasn't something I can really show off as a really enticing game that you would really actually want to play the full length of. So it was kind of disappointing, but at the same time we did a pretty good job and pulled off what we designed in the beginning, so a success, and there will be many more games to come, and hopefully I can pull out something a little more fun.